Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Does Whatevs. There's actually several things that I want to work on these days. Probably number one is... Oh yeah, I gotta update the overlay, don't I? Whoops. Yeah, probably number one is the Xeno Wing, and I actually kind of had a little bit of a breakthrough, at least in my quest to solve the issue of how we're gonna deal with HDMI and stuff on the new board. And it involves a couple complicated things. The main one being 2 different clock domains. But I thought of a good way to actually put all that together in such a way that we would still be able to simulate it with a variolator, which is pretty cool because both of the different clock domains are going to be somewhat related. So since we know that, and they're not going to be too terribly difficult, or like too terribly out of phase, then I think we'll actually be able to come up with a solution for that. But I've been working too hard lately and on a lot of stuff, so I thought I needed a night to chill. I know I've been doing that a lot lately, but that's how life is sometimes, and we're gonna deal with that. There's a couple other projects I want to do too, but again, I just can't really focus that much right now. So we're gonna do something that doesn't require that much focus. That's play Opus Magnum. Now I picked this game up a few weekends ago. 3 or 2 weekends ago? I think 3. And one of the fun things about this game is trying to beat all my friends. And I basically played this on stream one night, and then the following weekend I played this a lot. And I played it a couple times since then. But over the weekend I actually came up with some pretty good strategies for optimizing already. And I'm not entirely sure if I want to sit here and optimize stuff or if I want to keep progressing kind of the story of the game. We'll just hang out and see. Yeah, I did the spoopiest of overlays. Yeah, story is a bit of a stretch, but campaign maybe. Just all sounds ridiculous. But yeah, the Xeno Wing stuff I thought of allows us to still simulate things with variolator, even with the 2 different clock domains. Essentially what I'm going to do is one of the clock domains is going to be 100 megahertz and the other one's going to be 125 megahertz. And since we know those frequencies and we know how they're going to line up, so every 4 of one is going to be 5 of the other. And so for the sort of first one, then we're going to flip both clocks up. And essentially that's kind of the strategy, is I want to just like change whichever clock changes for that one and then update the thing and then change the other clock and then do that so that we get one of them will do that twice and the other one will do that 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess, no, what is it? 4 pulses would be 8 times, the other one does it 10 times. But yeah, they're going to be in 4 or 5 lockstep. They're going to come from the same PLL on the actual chip. So that will kind of allow us to make that assumption. So with that, we should just be able to just update the clocks with variolator in a really straightforward manner that way. And I think that should just work. And of course, on the actual hardware and all of the stuff that we need to do between those 2 clock domains still needs to be synchronized. And we still have to handle that, but at least we can handle that in a way that we can simulate and in a way that we can test on the hardware. So it should actually be pretty good. We'll talk about that some other time. Right now it's time for stupid puzzle games. So I just want to go through, because I actually haven't opened this in a few days, and just look at my scores. Because I'm pretty sure I'm on the top of all my friends here. And now I know that there are a lot of these that are done better. I found the subreddit and quickly left because I cannot be looking at that. But I can be looking at my friends' scores. And I want to be the best of my friends. Which, on all these ones I am, I think... No, this one I still was. Airship fuel. Yeah, this one I particularly did not like doing, so I know I did worse on this one. Just open it up. Yeah, it's this one. So I know I can get this faster because I have a whole reagent that I didn't use. But essentially the product, maybe it's helpful if I remove some of the spoop. Not this one. That's our reagent, our product that we're going for. In fact, I actually need to hide some of these overlays. I didn't realize how distracting this would be. I'll leave the fog, the spoopy fog. Everything else is fine. Okay, so this is the product. This sort of symmetric thing. And so far what I have, I know that this can be better. Now I actually want to talk about something that's kind of interesting. I basically figured, I was close to figuring this out the first time I played. But the second time I played, I really kind of nailed this down. So if we just look at my friend's scores here, actually a couple things. First of all, in this game, we always produce 6 things. Let me know, by the way, if I need to turn the music down. Actually, it looks a bit loud based on my voice's volume. I can also just turn it off if you guys don't care, or if you guys would rather. I know some people like to listen to other music during these. But anyway, if we only look at, let's see. Yeah, so we always produce six products. And there's some where you produce like 24 products, but that's 6 times 4 things, right? So you're still sort of producing 6 things. And what's interesting about that is that we can actually look at some people's scores, including mine. So I'll start with mine just because I can show you the solution. And we can find out something interesting. So if we take 28, this is a 28 cycle solution, which is this one right here. There's a couple that I did, like this one was for cost, and it's 209 cycles, so it's, yeah, really tiny and takes a long time. But this one that's for cycles, I had this solved in 28 cycles here. And what's interesting about that is that 28, so remember we're producing 6 things. So if you take just 28 cycles divided by 6 things, and you do a floor divide, right? Then what do you get? So the closest number that's multiple of 6 is 24 below this. So 24 over 6 is 4. And that means that I have a bunch of pipeline stages that each take 4 cycles to complete. Now, there's also 4 cycles of overhead, but essentially, if we think of this as a pipeline, so one stage of the pipeline might be taking this reagent out and putting it here. That stage takes 4 cycles. And then there's another stage that takes 4 cycles. And in this case, let's see, I think I have a stage here that drops that there, and then goes back. So it'll be grab, move, release, move, and that's 4 cycles. This one will do like grab, push, release, go back, and that's another 4. So each one of these ends up being 4 cycles, and I think down here you can see that there's a couple that are 8. But essentially, everything works together with this sort of 4 cycle thing. I think, don't actually know which ones 7 and 8 were. Yeah, those are these things here. So probably, yeah, so it looks like these 7 and 8 and then 5 and 6 are both 8 cycles, but because they're offset by each other by 4, these are essentially, this essentially forms one 4 cycle stage. Although, because this is delayed, that ends up giving us a bit of latency here. But the interesting thing again is that if we can think of all this as different pipeline stages that are 4 cycles each. So in this case, they're offset by 2 cycles, which is kind of the best you can do out of these reagents because you always have to like grab and then move. So that's 2 cycles to get something out. In fact, that's the fastest that any of these reagents can produce output is 1 element every 2 cycles. But again, the interesting thing is that this score, this 28 cycle number, told us that. This predicted that we were going to have 4 cycles per stage. So you can see all these repetitions happen in groups of 4. So this will do its thing 4 times, and then it just does a repeat, which is another 4. So even though this is 8, this is still kind of 4 cycles as sort of the base unit here. Now, what's interesting about this is let's look at someone else's score. For example, his is 25. Now, 25 is probably also the same thing. It's probably also like 1 cycle startup time, but then 4 cycle stages. But what about this 20? So this 20 because this is below 24, it means we can't actually do this with 4-cycle pipeline stages, right? Hey, Cetris. Yeah, exactly. The 20 cycles means that the different sort of stages of this pipeline have to be 3 cycles. So what that tells us is that this can be done in 3 cycles. So then what we can do is we can try and look at what we have and either try and reduce a cycle. So in this case, there's no obvious way to do that. We have to kind of re-engineer a lot of this. But that kind of thinking gets you really far in this game, as it turns out. In fact, let me try to find one where it's kind of obvious that we can optimize, just so I can kind of show you the thought process here. Maybe this is one. I actually don't know. Okay, this is actually one where I can kind of show you this idea. So this solution, actually, I'll run it here. Now, this is not a super great solution, right? So like I'm not gonna claim that it is, right? But this takes 38 cycles, this current solution. And let's just look at the numbers without even looking at the machine, right? So 38, the next multiple of 6 below that is 36. So if you do 38 floor divide 6, then you have 6 cycles, right? So this tells us that each stage is 6 cycles. And if we look down here, we can see that each one of these stages takes 6 cycles. The ones that didn't were padded, and I'll get to that because that's actually quite important to the point I'm trying to make here. So everything takes 6 cycles. So then of course our number of cycles for the whole solution is going to be around 36, a bit above because of some latencies that we have here between the different stages. But overall, each stage is sort of moving the pieces that it needs to move every 6 cycles. But the interesting thing here is that if you look at most of these stages, so this one, actually, it's kind of clear while it's running. Just look at the padding of a lot of these stages. We have some sort of different units here. They're not quite stages because a lot of them happen in parallel and stuff. But if we just look at the bottom one, we can see there's 4 and then 2 things of padding, right? 4 and then 2 cycles of padding, 4, 2 cycles of padding, 6, 6, 4, 2 cycles of padding, 4, 2 cycles of padding. So number 1, 2, 5, 6, and 7 all actually take 4 cycles and just have 2 cycles of padding. So this is an indication of 2 things. One, this is an indication that this could actually be done in 4 cycles per stage, right? And that would put us around like the 24 mark. 6 times 4 is 24. So if we look at other people's scores, we see, look at this, 27 and 28 here, which is right in that ballpark. That means that they've done it in 4. And we actually figured that out just by looking at this, right? So that tells us kind of how well we could do with each stage and what the target for each stage should be. But the other thing is this also tells us which stages are the ones that need to be optimized. If we wanted to just break down the whole machine, all we have to do is make stages 3 and 4 take 2 less cycles. And maybe we do that by introducing another stage. So instead of 3 and 4 each taking 6 cycles, maybe they take 4, and then we have another stage in there that also takes 4 cycles, but that kind of offloads those units, or something else. But this gives us a really good way to kind of systematically look at this and say, where do I start? You know, I have this, and I know I'm wasting cycles somewhere, but this actually tells us, well, stages 3 and 4, or arms 3 and 4, I guess would be the term there. Those are the ones that are taking a long time. And of course they are. So this one, what does it do? Grab, move, move, release, move, move. That's 6. And then 4, it grabs, moves up, pushes, and then resets. So if we could get those 2 down, then we should be in the ballpark of those other people's scores. And I think, is this... No, this wasn't Cetris again. Does that kind of make sense? Like, it's kind of funny because when I realized that, it made it so almost easy, at least to kind of break this down. Because another way to just look at this is just try never wasting cycles, right? But this, I like looking at it systematically like this, because this is the same way that you would optimize any kind of other pipeline, especially if you're making like hardware or something. You'd say, well, the speed of my pipeline is of course dominated by the slowest stages in the pipe. So if you think of it as a pipeline, which is really natural for me at least, then this gives us a really systematic way of figuring out what to improve on, and the areas that can be improved. And sometimes you get some really ridiculous solutions too, because like even if you're in the right ballpark, you might end up with like some stupid looking machine. And I have a lot of stupid looking machines in this game right now. Like this one with this stupid long arm down here. And you can see all this padding. So this one can be done way better, and it's actually only this arm that takes like 15 cycles or something. And all the other ones are like way faster. So this one could theoretically be way better. As you can see on the leaderboard, it's clear that it is. So that's kind of funny. But again, this seems to apply for all these puzzles, right? Because everything's based on producing 6 things. And yeah. Yes, so Cedra says, when I estimate the minimum completion time, I count the time it requires to grab all the inputs, 2 ticks per atom, and the minimal time it theoretically takes to assemble the final molecule and output it. And that's also a great way to look at this, because that will tell you, like, you're absolutely right, because the only way that you can achieve, for example, like let's say let's say you want to achieve 4 cycles from some stage of some machine. Let's see if I can pull that one up again, because that was a good example. But I don't remember which one it was. It was this one maybe. Let's say you wanted to get them down to 4 cycles. Well, you can only get it down to 4 cycles as long as you're pulling off the atoms. No, that's not really the point I'm trying to make. Cetrus named it exactly right, by the way. Like, that's I'm just trying to find a different way to word that. But that's absolutely right. Like, you can't... Your pipeline is always going to be as slow as the slowest stage. And if the slowest stage is the input to the pipeline, I think that's what I'm trying to get at, then, of course, you're limited by that. And in this case, this product here requires at least one of these water modules. Or one of these water molecules. Or atoms? Probably atoms is the right term there. Or elements, I can never remember. But in that case, we can't produce one of these any faster than 2 cycles. So theoretically, this could take 2 cycles. But then we look at these other things that are required. And I think both of these are tin. Is that what it is? I can never remember. Yeah, they're both tin. And tin requires you to put quicksilver in, which, since there's 1 quicksilver reagent, that's every 2 cycles. But also requires one of these lead ones. So I think just tin and lead on its own, I think you could actually do that in 2. Oh no, but you need to produce 2 of these. So we actually can't beat 4 because we need 2 of these, and the only way we can produce these is 2 cycles from each of these. Because we essentially need 2 elements from each of these, and each one can only give us one every 2 cycles, right? So that's gonna be 4 cycles is the fastest we can even produce these 2 tin atoms. So even though this one could be faster, we're bottlenecked by the fact that we have to produce 2 of these. And the fastest we could do that is 4 cycles, which, again, we know that this could be 4 cycles because most of these stages are. And because the people on the leaderboards that we saw were actually achieving that. Such just adds, for example, if you need 36 atoms and you have 2 inputs, you'll need 36 ticks to grab everything from the inputs. Plus, after you grab the last one, you need time to move it, like 1 point to the bonder. I think you mean border. And then at least 1 tick to the output cell and drop it. Absolutely. And it's so nice that... Oh yeah, bonder, that's what you mean. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the thing that binds the atoms, of course. Glyph of bonding. Bonder is a better word for that. Absolutely right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this is very, very systematic, and it's all about that cycle count. And I find it much easier to be able to like break it down formally like that, rather than to just kind of look at it and see where I'm wasting cycles more intuitively. I think it's easier when it's systematic like this. So I found it quite natural to play this game. This is totally how my mind works anyway. Oh yeah, I didn't comment on Prime Mover. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Sounds cool. Especially that it's so cheap. Maybe I'll go buy that. Yeah, now I should say one other thing. This also will tell us the same thing. Here I have 25, but my friends have 21, right? So this will tell us that I'm doing something in 6 cycles, which could be done in 5. I forgot 5 is the other one. No. I'm doing something in 4 cycles that could be done in 3. That's what I'm trying to say. Because 6 is the magic number. Is that the case here? I think it is, because the way these are set up. Yeah, 4 that could be done in 3, yeah, and all these are multiples of 4. That's correct. Was I looking at area? I was, yeah, that's dumb. No, I have this best in terms of speed, you're right. That's funny. But again, it's the same pattern. This is 26 cycles, and so we expect each stage to take 4 cycles, and they do. And it's often in this game too that if you can't make things sort of line up with phase, that you'll do this with like 2 things that take 8 cycles, but effectively you're getting the throughput that there's 4 cycles. So this you would view as like one complicated stage, because both of these are just maintaining that 4 cycle throughput. Yeah, so just I stream every week, but I don't normally play this game, but I do stream every week. I used to stream twice a week, but that went down last year, I think. But I also missed a lot of streams myself, so no worries. Oh, this is my favorite, by the way, when I beat my friends by this much. There you go, Cetrus, have fun. So here my stages are based on 6 cycles. Whereas here, I think yours are based on 8. Maybe I shouldn't show the solution then. This is not a very pretty machine, by the way. Yeah, I'm sure this game is old news to you. Yeah, no kidding. Maybe I will. This game's already addictive enough. I'll probably hold off and then buy, what's the game called again? Moving Primes? Or Prime Mover? Yeah. I'll probably end up playing that like 2 years from now. When everyone's done with it. I played the assembly. Is that the... You mean like TS100 and Shenzhen IO? Because those are the 2 that I played. I didn't play any other ones, if there are any. Such as you stopped somewhere in the middle of this game too. Or no, maybe you didn't. Maybe that's someone else. I heard Exapunks is really good. No, actually, I think you did finish the Citrus. At least got farther than me. It's funny because you see most people do that. They will like fall off sort of midway through the game. At least most of the people that I'm friends with, because they really like the optimizing stuff, and after a while it gets a bit too complicated. I checked out this notebook thing and I'm so disinterested. Like, making atoms this complicated is so uninteresting to me. I totally get why people would be into this, but I just look at this and I'm just like, that's not fun. Yeah, exactly. Optimizing is more fun than doing these other ones. No, I haven't played Steven's Sausage Roll. In fact, I mean, that's probably why we're Steam friends, Cetrus. I mean, you probably remember that, but it's probably because I was playing TS100 or Shenzhen IO. I remember a bunch of people wanted to add me after I streamed that. And I totally get it, because it's way more fun to have more people on the leaderboards. So that's great. Noida I haven't heard of. But if you guys are into it, I know that I will be. Some of these look so stupid. I feel like I'm going to have more fun trying to optimize this one. It looks like, because yes, I normally just solve it the easiest way I can. In this case, it was easier to just rotate it like this. Because I don't like to use these bonders. They're annoying. When you have to use multiple, and especially when you have to use like these ones, I think they're really annoying. The worst ones though are those ones that you have to like rotate and they make like the triple bond or whatever. I'm very not interested in those. I don't think I've done any decent solution with those yet. I thought my idea for that would at least be to like put multiple of them in a row and then see if I could bond with different ones. I haven't actually tested if that works, but I would assume it would. It's just interesting how unfun that mechanic is. Yeah, but again, so clearly the parts of this that I need to optimize is 3 and 4. And the cool part is you can kind of do those one by one for the most part. By, for example, getting it down and introducing padding cycles for the other one. But it depends on what they do. For example, this one might not actually be that clean. Because sometimes if stuff is really compact like this especially, it's hard to optimize just one piece because you often end up with like, physical conflicts. So sometimes like you can't push something forward if something's in the way. I think like 1 and 2 here are good because we're pulling out these as fast as they need to be. And it looks like, there's just sort of 2 dead cycles here that could have been used moving this stuff up. So I think we're actually going to be okay in terms of like conflicts. So then it's just about getting these down. So if we just take a look at 3, it's moving this from here to here. And then this again from here to here. And a really easy way to optimize that would be to do some kind of conveyor belt thing. We have a bunch of stuff in the way, so it may not actually be that easy. But for example, if we did this, grab and bring it up here and then release it. That would be one way to do it, and then we could have that on a track where another one's doing the same thing. And 4, I think it was would move up and then push, so that's kind of moving this from here to here. So we need a nice way for that to happen too. But honestly, we might even get away with doing like another track up here or something. Hard to say. But I'm going to try that. I'm just going to replace 3 with something like this, something stupid. And that's probably going to work. So I'm going to move this up here because I like to think of this in order. So if we just take 3, or what was the previous 3, and just move it out of the way, then we're going to build a little track here. And there's also, you can determine the track lengths by cycle counting as well. So this is gonna like grab. So let's say this are gonna be 8 cycles, and then we have 2 arms. We're probably gonna be able to do that. So then it needs to grab and release, and then needs to spend 6 cycles moving around. And because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then it'll be backwards started. So this is actually the correct length for this. So we're gonna grab, and then plus, plus, release, move, 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 move. So then we're up to 8, but that should be what we need. So if I just do this, okay, why didn't that work? What was 3 doing? That wasn't a problem before. Grab plus plus release. Okay, so now it's a scheduling issue. Because this release is conflicting with what? Now I'm not so sure what this was. This was 4, right, that we moved? I was looking at 3, not 4, right? No, because that was 3. Right, because this was 2. So this one... Nah, I've lost my train of thought. It's kind of interesting, actually, that you can have 2 of them grab at the same time as long as their movements don't conflict. Okay, so now it's 5 that it conflicts with, though, because they're both grabbing. So this one, I think the only thing is that we need to offset it. I think that's the only problem. Now that's going to move down here, but that's going to be okay because of the padding. Now if we... I'm going to assume that there's another arm that's going to make this work out to be 4 again once we finish this, but then we have to optimize the other one first. So I'm just going to delete this 4 here. And then we're going to assume that we can do effectively the same treatment to number 4 here, and in fact I'm going to swap these again. So I want to make this R4 and this R3 just because of the ordering. I like to maintain that. So this has to move in a more complicated way because we need to move it up and over. And let's just see, because we don't have that much reach here unless it did some track that was like this, which I think we can just do actually. So we need to move 1, 2. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think we're actually okay. And then I think this just moves the same way. So grab plus release plus 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 plus, and we just take all of this and get it out of here. Put it over there so it still kind of works. And the whole mechanism still works. Now, of course, it's a bit slower because we're taking 8 cycles instead of 4. But the interesting thing is that we know that we can optimize these, because I know that I can put another arm on there that's just phase shifted by 4, and then that effectively turns this into one single stage with better throughput. So the way we do that is we build the same kind of arm. So we're going to do this with 4 first. I'm going to put this up by here. Actually, no, I want to do it with this one first, number 3 first. So we're going to put it here. And this is going to be that same orientation. And since we know this is going to move this way, we can move it back 1, 2, 3, 4 cycles. And then just copy this and phase shift it. And this should just work. Right, and then this conflicts with that now because we need to fix that one too. And this should just work. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to move this up to 5 is the one. And then just do the same thing here. And now this should work unless we have some conflicts spatially, as long as we make all these other ones have a length of 8. And there we actually do have a conflict. So this is where things start to get a little more interesting. So the issue is that we had something come back and grab, and I think it was this 3 when this one came up. Yeah, this 4 grabbing conflicted with one of these trying to move. I think it's 5 and 6. This is where the stuff gets fun. By the way, I totally think I forgot to, but I forgot to duplicate this. Normally I do this. And in fact, I should have restored this. I might actually put this one back to the way it was, because I don't want to lose that solution. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a minute and do that, because I really don't like to lose these. So I think I had it with... Yeah, there's a track there, wasn't there? There's a track here. Like this. And then there was one of these here, like this. Then I think that's enough for me to figure this out again. So 6 and 7, we wanted to be 3 and 4, I think they were. And it doesn't really matter that one is exactly where the other one was. Let's make 3, I think it's grab, plus extend, reset, and then this one would have been 2 cycles later because it can't grab any sooner than that. It might even have been later. This one's gonna... I don't think that's what it was. That's the annoying part here, but let's just see what this does. Okay, yeah, so this actually was just one of these arms. And then I think it was just grab some delay here, and then grab, I think it was that. And then we have to delay that, I think. That's annoying because I don't know what it was. Oh, I still have all these repeats, don't I? That doesn't work. Okay, and now this is too late. Okay, is that good? Doesn't need to happen earlier. Okay, there. Good. Okay, so that's roughly what I had. Yeah, it's the same. So we'll leave that alone while we work on the other one. So we can see, if we just look at these in isolation, because these are ones that are conflicting. This 4 comes around and grabs when this 6 comes around and grabs, right? No, it's when the 5 first goes. So, or is it trying to move? So then I think it grabs there. Or is that when 5 starting to move it? Right, it's when 5 moves, 4 grabs. It's this here. So usually just fix this. We just need to make these line up, these grabs and releases. Where were they here? I think they were there. Or at least something like that. Let's just try that. Now we have issues with the phases of other things. That's when this stuff gets difficult. 3, we could also try doing this, for example. I don't think that'll work, actually. 2 the other way might. And then we've added a lot of latency. Yeah, that totally won't work. So this stuff kind of sucks when suddenly this can't work due to these spatial constraints. So grab, pull. Because 7 here again is grab, pull, release. reset, right? It just does that. But then the issue is that 7 happens, in this case, too early. Can we just do that? No, that's the opposite problem, isn't it? Let's try that then. No, because that doesn't grab it in time, because what was producing that? 3 comes up here and then releases here, and we can't grab until that releases there. That's sort of the issue. And I may just have to rethink a lot of this, like this sort of output stage. Because right now, the fact that it pulls it is kind of nice, because then we only have to move this over here and we use the same bonder. But this conflict obviously doesn't work. So is there some kind of way we could rotate this? For example, bring it up here. Then if we had another atom up there, but that's a long way to move. So I'm not sure about that. You know, and it may make sense to end up doing something like this, where we have another bonder here, and then more stuff to kind of move things as multiple units. That tends to work pretty well. Because then we could kind of pull this up and over or something. Not entirely sure. Another strategy might be, instead of to pull this, so like bond here and then pull this, we might like bond here and then push it and then move the other one up there. Something like that would probably work really well. And then we could kind of rearrange everything around moving that out of the way again until where it needs to go. Not really sure what the best strategy there is, but we have plenty of room to play with stuff. Let's look at this again. I spent a lot of time just looking at this, but I mean, we know that scheduling wise we're kind of on the right track here, so. And the funny thing is, sometimes when you get like the amount of cycles right, you still have a bit of work to do, because you'll see that your friends have like 1 or 2 cycles better than you. And that comes down to like aligning the phases such that you drop it 1 cycle earlier or whatever. And that part's kind of fun, but it's also really frustrating, because you've done most of the work, and then it's just a matter of figuring out the sort of secret sauce to finish it. Yes, the issue again is that this needs to go up here, whereas if this also had gone up there, for example, instead of up here, then we could probably do it. Again, I like that because of this thing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could push it that way. So let's just see what would happen if we did it that way. If 7 moved out instead. Then we were doing that, and then okay, so there's actually another issue with that, in that this is going to bond the wrong way. But let's just remove some stuff. So for example 9 here, I think is just moving it to the output stage. Let's just get rid of some of this. Just focus on these individual stages. Okay, also it doesn't seem to work to move it like that, which is kind of disappointing. So 3, 4, 5, and 6 are all just about moving this up to here, more or less, here and here. Whereas 8's just pushing this into there. But like 8, for example, this could be here, and we'd get more or less the same thing. Let's 3 do it? Yeah, because 3 moves it that way. So let's say we did this. 3, 4. This is kind of putting it in that same direction, but maybe there's nothing we can do with this kind of setup. I'm not entirely sure here. I basically just flipped it. I haven't really done much useful work here. Another thing though is that we could also, instead of using stage 7 here, we could make these be longer. So instead of taking 8 cycles, they could take, for example, 12. We could have 3 arms. And another thing that these can do is also pull it over. That might work out better, because then we wouldn't have that other cycle where we're just releasing and grabbing. I think we would need to do the same up here too, but it seems like we have the area to kind of do that. And then maybe it makes sense that they would rotate and put it in here or something, or we have some other stage that would then grab it and do some kind of rotation, just to move it to the output stage. I think we're onto something here. We have to have a product for this to run. Don't really know why that's the case, but it is. See, and this one's actually already set up to do that. If we wanted it to move over one before released, this one can already do that. And this one can almost do that. In fact, I think this one could too, because it moves up and then over. So actually, we can already do that if we just adjust the phases here. And do this. That's 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6. Need to do that too. This music reminds me of Metroid Prime, by the way. And then 7. Yeah, we're not using 7 now. Just get rid of it. See? Okay, then it becomes an issue here, because now we've bonded some stuff that we didn't need to bond, or didn't mean to bond. That's the downside of these approaches, actually. Because this is going to, as it moves up again, bond here. So this approach doesn't work that well. I'm going to undo some of this stuff here then. So what's nice about these is that these are getting us the best throughput based on just outputting tin, and this is getting us the optimal throughput based on producing, is that water? That's water. But the bonding is the issue here. You know, another thing we could do, I'm also just going to get rid of 7 again because it's not being useful right now. Let's get rid of the bonding in the water altogether. Just gonna get rid of all this, actually. Because we could do something like this. Kind of bond it this way, which is something I generally kind of like to do. And kind of push the water through like this. Now, if we're going for those 4 cycles again, we need to do something that's grab, release, or grab, move, release, and then another thing we could do grab, move, release. And then another one could even do grab, move, release if we had the product here. And it's 3 stages, but at least it would work, as long as we had enough room to actually move the pieces that way. The nice part about that is that then we could sort of rearrange these such that we're producing tin into these different ones. And there might be a nicer way to organize that, and then we just move these along this line, which I kind of like. What I'm worried about, though, is getting this tin sort of over these bonders without having accidental bondage, which is really funny to say. And there might be something nice with this, actually. If we could move both of these onto the same one and then rotate or something, or onto, for example, different ones of these. We push the water onto here and then like have it bond here and then rotate so this moves up here and then bond the other way. Maybe there's something nice there. So this is a case actually where, and I've actually found that this is kind of rare, where when kind of breaking it down into these stages like this, I've had to redesign this much of the machine. Normally, I'm usually able to optimize sort of one piece and just kind of move things around a little bit and just sort of optimize one piece in isolation. Because of these two stages and the way I had this set up, I think I've had to kind of redesign a bit more. More than I feel like I normally have to do. So what I'm kind of thinking here now, what if we could produce tin into both of these? And then have this do something with like move, rotate. Like that, and then get out of the way. If there was another one of these on a track, then that could maintain the 4-cycle throughput. Let's see if there's something to that. Then it seems a bit cleaner than trying to get tin to both these places without bonding with anything else. And it might be easy to like rotate into the output or something. Something like that. Let me get rid of these. I wanted to see if I could rotate all of them at once. I can't. I'm just going to rebuild a lot of this because it really doesn't take much effort. So let's just try that. Let's just try to get full throughput. Every 2 cycles we're putting tin onto these. First this one, then this one. Right, but then of course this needs to be saturated like this. Oops, that needs to be offset. So those are going to be like this. Oh, and 3 needs to be here. Okay, so that's fast as we can do that. And then this one needs to be actually moving them off or over this onto these. Maybe this wasn't the best way to set this up, but for the sake of trying it out, we're going to try it out. Maybe this makes more sense. That's basically what I just had, but whatever. So we need to move this here and then there. We can just do the easiest way we can think of, which is probably this. for now. So if this did this, plus, which one's plus again? No, it's G. Like that. And then at the same time, we want one that's going to pull all the way over here, and we can just do that. The easiest way is with this. Okay, and there we have the tin. More or less how we want it. So these are sort of our tin. This is our tin stage. And then we're going to do our water stage, which I think I wanted to try this first. So let's just try if it grabs forwards. And then I think I want to do that and then rotate on our pivot. So let's try that. I wanted to delay this. So then, in fact, I could do this just to make it easier to follow. Like that. And then if I had this whole thing rotate, where do we end up? Wrong rotate. I do that all the time in this game. Then it goes over that atom. Interesting. I had not expected that to be an issue. We could do the same from here. No, because we need to move it there. But we can do that with one of these. Just to try something. So let's say 5 did this. Instead of that, it's going to do plus. And we end up down there. And then let's say that this repeated. So here's another solution where we have 6. And we have 2 very clearly critical paths. We have 5 here, which is 6 cycles. And we have 4. Oh, these are 7 now. Yeah, right. So 5 is 7 cycles and 4 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 cycles. And then these is also 6, but this is 4 and 4. And so assuming we could get all these down, so we could double the throughput of 3 by adding another arm here. 4, I think we can basically do the same, actually. It's sort of the idea. So we can just try that, just 3 and 4, getting those down to 4. And then can we get 5 down by, for example, having a second arm? Probably. What I do like about this is it's kind of like move, rotate. Like I see a 4 in there. And it gets it way out of the way. As long as that doesn't interfere with an atom going here. That's kind of my concern there. But let's just see how far we get with this. It's also very often like when you have these long arms like this, you could just change it out with one of these. That seems to be a good strategy for making these take less time to get back to where they were, because then they don't really need to reset all the way. In fact, this one would only need to move back, release and move back, so we would save a cycle there. That's still not enough, but for example. The 3 and 4. Let's look at number 3. In fact, yeah, 2 is correct, 3 and 4 are not correct. So 3 is because it grabs this, moves, and then moves it down. Let's see if we did it like this. Is that correct, or does it need to be this? Because then we do 1, 2. Hey, Alkama. Hey, Bad Moose. Very spoopy. I always wanted to be caught in a Pokeball, but I fear I'm too big. So 3, instead of doing this, let's say 3, instead it would release. Is that 8? Yeah, we need to have this on a track. That 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that should restart again. Uh-oh, what happened there? No worries, Mad Moose. That's a both. Oh, I know what happened with 3. We never retracted it. That's the issue. That becomes a problem. Because we need now one of those cycles to be a retract. Could be one of these. If we release and then retract, for example. That may not work when we have other arms. To give him a move. So now we move 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so actually it's this, which is okay. This should work now at least. Yeah, I do need to move the hat down. When I get way up in the screen. I think they got 1 cycle. No, I got 5 cycles worth or something. Because now this is 8. But the idea is that we'd have another arm here. This should drop that to 4. And without actually making that work, I'm going to assume that's the case. We'll worry about making it work after. Essentially, these 4 cycles of dead time, that's what we're going for here. So I want to basically do the same with 4. Could do this a few different ways. Could even do one of these. Grab 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Grab, move, move, release, move, 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 move. Yeah, that's the way I'm going to do that. I'm just going to get rid of 4 then. Okay, this should just work. I think this will be the same number of cycles too, just because this became a bottleneck and now that will also be a bottleneck. Good. So then what's left? 5 also needs to be refactored this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then if this could just move during these, for example, release, move, 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 that would work. Right, which is basically what we have here. Instead of reset, it'll do release, move, move, move. And I think that might be it for that one, actually. No, because it needs to rotate the other way, doesn't it? Fuking Supa, yeah. Do need to buy this. It's terrible. You know, alternatively, since we're not retracting this anymore. I mean, first of all, we should replace it with one of these for not actually using that feature. Mostly to communicate the fact that we never are. I like to do that. Also, this could be one of these, as long as it didn't conflict with anything. And then that rotate, it wouldn't actually need to rotate again. Because it's already ready to do that. I think that's actually okay. Because we're never at a place where it could grab anything else otherwise. So now, assuming we could schedule other arms on this, we're looking pretty good. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break, and I'll be right back. And I'm back. So I think we're arriving at the solution here. If not, it's going to be due to physical constraints, and then we'll have to deal with that. But with everything more spread out like this, I think that should be easier. Then we'll be down to 4 cycle stages instead of 6, and that will prove that what I said at the beginning of the stream is not just full crap. Let's see. Can I just say I really like this game? That was probably obvious. Okay, so the annoying thing about this kind of won't work until it all works again. But we don't have to do that much complicated stuff. So 6 is going to act like 3, but it's going to be phase shifted. So if we start, just copy these 4, and then copy these other 4 at the end. Then we just need to put it in the right place such that these are going to happen. Now the first thing it does is retract. So we need to put it in a place where it's going to retract. Whoops. That did not go the way I expected. Plus was the other way, apparently. How about that? I think that's correct, actually. Yeah, I think that's correct for that one. We basically need to do the same for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. That one should be a bit easier. Copy these cycles here and these cycles here. Okay, that looks good. You can see the tin got to the right places there. And now for 7. I think we could just do this again, which is stupid. And again, do these. This one's going to release and then move 3 times. So I think we need to put it here. And there it goes. And it works. Look at that, 27. Did it. This looks so stupid, but this is a great solution. And we went about it in a systematic way that let us identify what the problem was, how we could save the cycles. And only by focusing on that, right? Only by I never even thought to call these Ferris wheels. That's great. Especially because these are my favorite arms in the game. I didn't even put that together. That's awesome. But just by systematically going through, we identified how we could improve this, right? And then we were able to actually make that improvement just by kind of looking at each stage individually. We did kind of have to rebuild things. That's actually kind of rare, as I mentioned, in my limited experience with this game. But again, it was just focused on those different stages. So that's pretty good. This looks so stupid, but it works so well, and that's the important part. So I usually actually quite like to try and improve the area on a lot of these. Let's see what I did for my other area solution. Okay, I didn't finish it is what I did. So actually, this is kind of cool for area too, because it's actually really easy to determine what the area is going to be. So in this case, I have 14 and this guy had 11. So we can just count this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is like as small as it can get, right? We have one arm. We have our reagents, the 3 that we need. We need this projection glyph. We need a bonding glyph, and we need the product. So this is it. This is all we can have. And the other thing that's kind of important about this is that we need to be able to bond such that we're not in something else's way. Which looks like it's going to be a problem in this case. So I'm wondering if we can do something like this and get the arm to be able to go over this and this. Because if we could, like, I'm thinking to use this space over here, maybe like this, has space that we can move this around on. Maybe rotate this. Not sure. Because we also need to have like this available. So like this could work here. This doesn't work here, but this could. And then this, something like that. And then maybe something like this is useful. But I don't think that solves the problem of getting this where it needs to go unless we did something like this maybe. Although if that was going to rotate around like that, we might need something like this. Then this could rotate the whole product, but rotations like that take up a lot of area, so that's probably not how we're going to want to do that. This is kind of cool because this will all sort of be free of conflicts. You can rotate this around the long way. Maybe this has to be something like this. It gets so confusing. This will work for pulling off all the elements that we need and getting those to where we need them to go. So we could, for example, pull water over here. And then we can get the tin here. I think we can rotate actually this without incurring any area cost. But rotating like that's actually not what we want to do, is it? So we can't bond with this. So I'm thinking like it almost needs to be something like this. So we can use that extra area. At the very least, something like this. Maybe if this aligns differently. So we could somehow move. Yeah, I'm not sure. So let's say the arm, we could produce tin relatively easily here. And then we can move the tin mostly freely. So we moved it here and then bonded it with the water. So we had a water tin. Then we need to somehow find a way to move this out of the way. So if this were something like this, we could get water, tin. Then we want to move it this way. We could rotate it and then, because these are valuable kind of free spaces while we have this here. Or something. We could almost like take this and move it up here and then get tin down here and then bond that. Okay, I think I actually got it here. So what we can do is we can go ahead and grab the water and then release it. And then we're gonna make a tin. So rotate, 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 extend. Grab, pull, release, rotate, extend, grab, pull. Okay, and then we have tin. And then we can do a rotate, and then we have bonded tin and water here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can release, rotate, grab, rotate, and I think that will kind of move all this up without using any additional area. Actually, we don't need to release, rotate, grab, rotate. We can just rotate, I think. As long as that doesn't touch this, which is my hope. And it didn't. We actually saw that didn't. So this is still 11, so that's great. And then what I'm thinking to do is do a rotate. Oh, no, I can't really do that. Maybe I don't have it. Oh, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, because I want to move this out of the way. So if I do release, rotate, grab, do this, and then release, then I think we're able to kind of move this out of the way. We're so close to what I want to do, but this isn't right. It's actually this space that I want to work with right now. Would it help us if this were this way? Don't think it would. Even if it was like this way, for example. You know, maybe this is the one we need. This is bad. doesn't really give us a way to rotate this, does it? That's the issue there. I really want it to be something like that. Also, we just covered a bunch more area right now by swinging over that. This actually doesn't work either because we have no way of getting up to there. We either need this to be here or we need to be able to get to these rotationally, and I think this makes the most sense. You know, actually, if we produce tin here, then we can move water and bond that and then push it outwards. And maybe we can just sort of push it like this to the output because we can extend that far. I think this is it, actually. So then what we can do is we can make the tin first. So let's just grab, release, rotate, extend, grab, pull, rotate, extend, release, pull, rotate, grab, rotate, and then I think we push, release. We put tin here, and then that bonds the water in the tin, and then we can push that. Yeah, and then we pull back again. Rotate, rotate, right? Grab, release, oops. Release first, and then rotate, extend, grab, pull, rotate, push, push, reset. I think that's it. This comes around, grabs that, and then push, push, release. And then we just have to make sure that this retracts 2 before resetting, which should be 2 rotates and an extend. So I think we're okay here. And then we optimize this for both speed and area, cycles and area today. And I'm satisfied with that. Nice. And this was the best cost that I achieved. I think that that's probably the best we can do. Because it's all the necessary parts and nothing else. This arm is kind of expensive, but how else can you move all of this? The only way to really make this any cheaper is to use a cheaper arm. Now there are these arms that theoretically could be cheaper, but would probably be difficult to put that together. Maybe when I finish the game and get the full leaderboards, I'll see if that's possible. But for now, I'm happy with this. So now I've done the best area and the best cycles. At least of the friends that I can see here. I'm pretty happy about that. Big stupid looking thing. Now there's one of these I still just do not want to go back to, and that's this airship fuel. I found this one to just be so annoying. But I know this can be improved. In 10 area? Yeah, I doubt it. Actually, we saw that's literally not possible because it's not. We literally can't remove any of these and have a functioning machine. Something to bond, something to move, something to produce tin, the ingredients, or the reagents in the product. There's literally nothing we can do there. I know you're joking, but still. Here's one where my cost is really bad. I think here's another one, by the way. So actually, let's see. Exactly static. I didn't realize that that hat was fitting for that. I'm just trying to be spoopy for Halloween. Thematically, my least favorite day of the year. I literally prefer no theme to this theme, but it's fun. Anyway, here, most of the stages are actually 4 cycles. So there might be a chance to optimize this one. However, I don't think there actually is, because if we look at the center here, is that copper that we need? It's copper. So to produce copper, we need a lead and 3 quicksilvers. Or is that iron? It's iron, isn't it? Yeah, it's iron. So we need 2 quicksilvers and a lead. And we only have 1 quicksilver reagent. So to produce 2 quicksilvers, that's 4 cycles. And to produce 2 of these, that's 4 cycles. And then to produce lead, it's 2 cycles. So actually, this can probably be done in 4. I haven't seen X-Punks, but I've heard so many good things about it. This probably can be done in 4. Even though no one on my list has done that. At least just looking at the products and the reagents. It should be possible, but spatially this bonding becomes a real mess. It's really sort of 2 bonds that you have to make. So I really think this could be possible. In fact, here most of the stages are already 4. It's just this number 6 here. Number 6 arm, that's the critical path. Which one is that? That's this one. Because I was doing that rotate thing. And everything else is 4. I'm amazed that that doesn't cause a conflict, but okay. Now I'm tempted to try that, actually, just trying to get this stage 6 here, because I actually think this is possible. And I just randomly opened this. This wasn't even something I was thinking to optimize. Yeah, I built an emulator for Opus Magnum and a solver. So one of the things I can do here those are the only 2 arms. 5 and 6 are the only ones actually pulling off of that reagent there. In fact, I think I should move 6 up here. So So now that's 3. Right, no, 4. 4 is the one I'm looking at here. 2 and 3 are down here. That 1 as well, yeah. So 1, 2, and 3 are all producing the... What's it again? The iron. That's cool, move away. Okay, yeah, so we're looking at 4 here, which is going to be pulling these molecules up. Is there a name for this? The distilled water. Okay. So I'm thinking if we just break this down, it does grab, rotate, and then it does a couple pivots. I'll call these, yeah, they're all called rotate and pivots, yeah. So grab, rotate, pivot, pivot, release, go back. So if this did grab, rotate, pivot, pivot, release, that would be 5. But I think we could do that without conflicts if this was one of these kind of arms. So we'll just try that. That may not work if there's something over here. So we'll see. Oh, move away, that's clever. Then you should find a way to extract the problem, so you just run everything in your emulator. Okay, but let's move 4 out of the way and just put 10 here, and then we'll just move. Looks like I have way more arms here than I realized. Move this up to 4 and just do this. Because as you can see, this dropped it down to... Well, again, we don't have to do this. This is just release now. Then it drops everything down to 5. Let's see if that causes any conflicts. It does, because we're grabbing here and then grabbing here. And that's the worst part about using these kind of arms. That's annoying. So, let's see, that was release, and then there was another rotate. Okay, so that's not going to work. But I think that was... Then we just expanded the reset there. Oh, that's cool, move away. I didn't realize they were that simple. Let's see. If we get this down to 8, I'd be happy. So if it did like... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have to move twice. If we did it like that. I don't think we can actually fit another arm that's compatible with this. Thinking that. This actually is 1, 2, 3 anyway, actually. 1, 2 is just moving up, and that doesn't work. But we could go to 12. If this did another 1, 2, 3, 4 rotation moves, then that works. And so to do that, we need 3 arms on that track, but that should be possible. And then that already gets that stage at least to a multiple of 4. So if we did V's here, all these other stages, we're probably going to get scheduling conflicts. By the way, I again forgot to fork this, didn't I? I did. Oh, that's annoying. I think I do want to go back and fix this. I don't remember what I had. I think it was just from here, it's the straightforward thing. That's, by the way, I'm going to do that before I forget. Okay, and then I think, yeah, because this 4 just had no track in it. This, and then I think this was just a reset. I think that's what we had. Okay, I'm happy with this. I'll let it finish though. Did the oil in 27? My stamina potion. Nice. There you are. Well done. Were we working on stamina potion? So yeah, that's what we were doing. Right. So this needs actually 2 other arms to go with it to match the bandwidth of these other stages. Should be fine. Probably gonna have a lot of things colliding here, it looks like. Only one way to find out, right? So let's just try 10 and we need 11 here, and these are both gonna go up at the top. This is gonna be like this. And then this one is going to be like this. Is that correct? I think it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doesn't really work, does it? That moved the exact wrong way. I don't think this is enough actually to get this many arms on that track. 5, 6. Looks like this needs to be here if that's gonna work out. Let's see, do we just get rid of 6 to see if we can even make the scheduling at all work. Nope. I think this cycle's just too long for this. So we need to come up with another way to get number 4 down to 4 cycles. I'm gonna get rid of these again, just so we have a working machine. So again, this was grabbing. If we schedule this right, we could also just make all these other stages delayed and break 4 up into 2 stages, which I think is probably fine for this. And the way we'll do that then is we'll just have it grab, swing, release, like in restart. In fact, that was this, right? Put that down to there. And then we could have another arm somewhere that's doing the rotations, as long as it wasn't in the way of anything. So we could even see, like if we did this, is that the right place to do that? It is. that's going to be out of the way of everything. So that should be okay. So then we'll split 4 up into 2 stages here. So this will do this and then reset. And then this one will grab, rotate, release, right? And because this now is in 2 stages, we need to delay everything else. Because before we didn't have this release and grab thing there. So I think 1 cycle's enough for this. How did that cause a problem? I'm not sure. Oh, are we not moving stuff out of here fast enough now? That's shit. Yep, that's exactly what happened, isn't it? So can we get this to happen any earlier? Well, yeah, because 4 is delayed. 4 doesn't need to be delayed, right? We have 4 and 7 are out of phase, because this is the one that was producing the other one. But 4 and 7, actually, they just need to chill, don't they? Because this is already... These complement each other, don't they? I'm not so sure about that, actually, but... we can do that. Is it X that does this one? I have 8 again. Yeah, so this is the trouble with this one. Is that in order to... we should have everything so that we can produce these fast enough. But spatially, this becomes a really messy thing, actually, doesn't it? We can get rid of this track, can't we? Let's go through that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Essentially, 1, 2, 7 needs to be ready already. If that's gonna produce that fast enough, it needs to be something like this. Like that, and then 4 has to be grabbing it already. If you guys see what I mean. Because we essentially need to be pulling these off of this a lot faster than we're able to do right now. Maybe there's a much better way to do that also starts to orient these correctly. For example, if this pulled it off and rotated it like if it were here and it rotated it this way. Yeah, I'm really not sure how to do that. How to rotate it such that we get the right orientation of these, because that's essentially what we would need to do if this was going to be 4 cycles for each. We basically need one, 2, and then 1, 2. 1, 2. Because when this is ready, we need to get that where it needs to be ASAP. It's annoying, actually, that that almost works. Maybe this would work if I just did 6 differently. Such that it wouldn't swing around like that, but if it could do. I don't know if it can work out that well. So we have a lot of swinging parts here. Let's say this removed. Does that help at all? I don't think it does, but let's... For example, if it swung the other way, up, and then all this were over here. What does 5 do? That's just the rotating one, so this could be up here, for example. Do the same thing. As long as that's not in the way. I don't think it is. And then maybe this could swing the other way. And maybe that's nicer. Just try it. This. 6 now swings the other way. No, of course it hits that one now. Just seen that coming. I mean, this doesn't help us anyway, because we need to be moving this out of here already. 2, 3, 4. And this already needs to be moving out of this by the time this is gone. That's frustrating. And I just realized I'm almost streaming for 2 hours. I think I'm going to give up for now and come back to this later. Happy Spoopy Day. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I'm going to go do something else and enjoy the rest of my night. But yeah, this was fun. I do actually want to look at the... Yeah, I'll have to check out Prime Mover. Spoopsween! Which one did we do? Stamina Potion? That was a good one? We'll watch this. No, that's the one we were failing to do now. Was it this one? I think it was this one. Yeah, it's this one. We did good work. So yeah. I'll have to check out Prime Mover. That sounds awesome. And thanks again for hanging out, guys. I'll see you next time.